What other aspects are there of Hanukkah? Because I know, growing up, we've always heard, some of the great themes of Hanukkah, anything from, constantly increasing in good and constantly advancing, or the idea of, everybody and anybody, especially living in the United States of America, would certainly, not be able to help but notice that we have public displays of menorah. What can you enlighten us on these two, major themes of Hanukkah, how it can apply to us, to everyone, whether Jew or non-Jew, in our day-to-day life?
Interesting. If we would put it into very blunt language, we have three holidays that celebrate victory: Pesach, Passover. We were freed from slavery, the victory over freedom over slavery. There's Purim, where there was a threat of genocide. Haman just wanted to wipe out all Jews in 127 countries, and we overcame that. Victory of survival over genocide. And then there's Hanukkah, which is surviving the rape of the country, right? So we survive genocide, we survive enslavement, and we survive abuse.
Now, when you say abuse, I just want to be sure that I understand. You said you used the term the rape of the country. Is this them, pillaging and stealing the people's personal possessions? Is this a spiritual being spiritually violated? What do you mean exactly?
Okay, so in the story of Hanukkah, there are two miracles. One is that a handful of guerrilla fighters were able to repel the mighty armies of the Assyrian Greeks, who were very sophisticated, had huge armies, even had fighting elephants.
Thanks.
And this handful of fighters were able. So the miracle of a military victory, huge. Then there's the miracle that the little pitcher of oil that was only good for one night lasted 8 nights. Which miracle do you think we should focus on? You would think
The military one, yeah.
military victory.
Significance, yeah.
We mention it in a prayer, but we don't really. What we celebrate and make a big deal about is the miracle with the oil. If you gain freedom after slavery, is it necessary to parade in the streets and say, I am free of slavery? Not really. It's nobody's business.
Get over it.
If somebody threatened your existence and you survived it, do you march in the streets telling everybody that you survived? Not really. But if you felt ashamed and compromised and violated, and you're cured from that, yes, walk in the streets. Stop. That's part of the cure. That's part of the miracle. So the only celebration that is intended to be public is Hanukkah. You light the menorah where people in the streets can see it. Now we have these giant menorahs out in the streets. But what is the point? Something wonderful happened for the Jewish people. Why do we have to, why do we have to publicize it? And because that's what you do when you regain your innocence. You can look the world in the eye, you can meet the world, you can tell the world That's part of the miracle. So in a sense, Hanukkah is regaining our pride after it had been threatened, compromised, whatever. So yes, Hanukkah is meant to be publicized. It is a mitzvah to light the menorah in the presence of others, and the more others, the better. That's unique to Hanukkah. Purim, we share food with other people, but it's basically your friends. Pesach, well, you make a Seder at home. There's nothing public about it at all, really. So that's one thing about Hanukkah. Why, again, are we celebrating the miracle of the oil rather than the victory on the battle? We have had so many miracles on the battlefield throughout the whole Torah. The fight with Amalek and the fight with the Og and the giants and the. Okay, so it's good news when you survive a battle, or when you win a battle against enemy, against superior and much greater numbers. It's good when that happens. No question about it. But the reason it's good is so that you can now continue your life. And what is your life all about? So here we have a perfect example. We won the military battle so that we can continue to live. Now, how are you going to live? A compromised existence or a pure and innocent existence? So we mentioned the battle. Yes, it was a great victory, a miracle. Thank you so much. Now we're going to go on with our lives. That's serious. So I guess one way of putting it is, what's more serious, life or death? Most people assume death. Oh, death, that's a heavy subject. Oh, that's serious. You could get killed.
No one came back to discuss it. I don't know how serious it is.
You can die. Oh. Death is not scary. Life is scary. Because life, you don't mess with. Life is serious. You got to know how to live. You don't have to know how to die. Every idiot can die. But to live, hey, you need a little wisdom, you need a little strength, you need a little vision. So the real victory is not that we didn't die, but that we knew how to live.
Wow. So I'm sorry?
Don't compromise life.
So how is that represented in the candles, these days? And I remember hearing this great rabbi said that, you have to not only look at the candles, but you have to listen to the story that they're telling us. Look at them and hear the story that tells. What story do these candles say to even to the non-Jew out in the street when they see a menorah? That's number one. Number two, also on that note, is there a virtue for a perfectly non-Jew who has no obligation to celebrate Hanukkah to attend a public menorah lighting ceremony? I can tell you for myself, for example, I do it in front of City Hall in my city, and most of the attendees are not Jewish. And I always think to myself, it's nice that they're there, but is there a virtue in that?
Sure there is. It's such a universal message, such a universal principle, that life should not be compromised. Every life. So it's like on Rosh Hashanah, we ask God to write us in the book of life over and over again. Write us into the book of life. What is the book of life? Who wrote the book of life?
Never thought of it.
There's an old song, Who Wrote the Book of Love? Who wrote the book of life? Is there also a book of death? No. There's no book about death. You die, you're dead. That's it. In fact, you can die 1,000 deaths, and you need no wisdom. There's no book. A book means wisdom. The book of life means not survival. You don't need a book for survival. Write us into the book of life means give us living wisdom. The wisdom of life. There's no wisdom to death. So here's an interesting thing. What could possibly be easier than extinguishing a candle? It's so easy. One puff, it's gone. So we get the impression that darkness is real. You can't puff away the darkness. You can huff and puff, but you can't blow it away. But one little breath and you can extinguish a candle, which kind of gives the impression that the darkness is real. Light is really feeble and temporary and vulnerable. And so we give death more respect than life. It's like, wow, I almost died. And now, well, I'm not dead. So why are you so... So now you're alive. Shouldn't that get your attention? So lighting the candles, particularly the menorah in the temple, it constantly burned. There was never a time that the menorah was not lit. The message or the moral point of it is, life is not flimsy or temporary. Life is reality. Death is nothing. It's meaningless. Don't get excited about death. Get excited about life. Every candle is another dance of life. So you had a candle yesterday on the first night of Hanukkah. Now you're lighting 2 candles. Oh, what's 2 candles? 2 lives? More life? What's more life? I mean, you're alive, you're alive. How can you be more alive? Oh, yeah, you can be more alive. And that can go on for 8 days. In fact, it goes on for every day of your life. Every day of your life is more life. It's not static. Death doesn't change. You were dead for 30 days, you're going to be dead for 60 days. Nothing is going to change. You're not more dead. You're not deader. But life is not like that. Life is constantly moving. It's alive. Things that are alive move, and they move upward. So you go from 1 to 8. And once you get to 8, you're beyond nature, because nature is made up of 7 days of the week, 7 days of creation. Once you get to 8, that's it. You're out of, you're beyond the pull of gravity. Now you can float forever. So that's the candle, which it represents the soul. Soul is a living thing. The soul is always getting wiser, stronger. It's not static. So not only are you still innocent, but you can grow in that innocence better and better every day. So is that a universal message? I mean, is that relevant for everybody? Well, everybody who's alive?
Yeah, everybody who has a soul. But still,
You're alive. Live. It's a good message.
So you're saying don't just exist or what's the word? Just not be dead, be alive and live, make it meaningful. But I just one thing that's still bothering me, because you did say something about a candle being able to be blown out so easily. How does that fit into this metaphor, to this equation and what you explained?
That's the impression we have, or the opinion we have about life. It's so temporary, it's so fragile, it's so fleeting. Before you know it, your life is over. All of those expressions, that's wrong. What are you, worshiping death? Worship life. Life is forever. The soul will go on forever. The good that you do will last forever. The darkness, you light a candle and it's gone.
Wow.
So yeah, the candle gives the impression of being so fragile and so vulnerable, so easily extinguished. But that's only on the surface.
I like that. I like that. So Rabbi, if I may ask you, practically speaking, I mean, what you just explained obviously has to be applied to the practical. But practically, if a non-Jew feels like they want to celebrate Hanukkah, literally, I'm talking about lighting a menorah, just purchasing a menorah and candles or oil candles and lighting it every night like a Jew would do. Obviously, they can't recite the blessing which says, for you made miracles for us, for our ancestors, as you did in their days and our days. It's not necessarily their biological ancestors, or it's necessarily not. But as far as lighting the menorah, just as, partaking in the celebration of Hanukkah, is that okay? Is that recommended?
Certainly in principle, lighting another candle means add a little light to the world. Giving charity adds light to the world. Honoring your parents adds light to the world. Encouraging people who need encouragement, thinking positive, looking forward to an improved world, being optimistic. This adds light to the world without lighting a physical candle. If lighting a candle inspires that thought, then by all means, light a candle. It doesn't have to be 8 candles. And again, you're not celebrating the miracle, you're celebrating the principle. So 1 candle would be fine. I light a bigger candle each night.
Right.
So
okay.
the physical activity is a very powerful way of engaging the material world in your principle. Almost like getting the body to be excited about the soul's feelings or experiences. Kind of a unifying, so that your soul and body are going in the same direction, not pulling in opposite directions, which is usually the case. Usually the soul is going up and the body is going down because of gravity. Also, by the way, the flame of the candle, fire in general, it's the only thing in nature that goes up.
Mm-hmm.
By nature. It represents the soul. The soul, while it's in the body, is always reaching up. It doesn't change directions, which is kind of a miracle. Like you have a candle, try turning it upside down.
The flame goes back
You
up.
can't change the direction of the flame. it will continue to go up, even when it's at the bottom of the candle. That's the soul. Even while the soul is in the body, it goes up. It's always thinking about where it came from, who it's serving, what is its purpose. It's always looking heavenward. The body, on the other hand, comes from dust and is constantly returning to dust, tiny steps at a time. Right? It sounds a little morbid, but the minute the baby is born, it starts to die. So in the womb, it's always adding life, gaining life, developing. Once it's born, it starts to die. It doesn't have to be a depressing thought. It's the nature of a body. It starts to get old. You don't realize it till you're 70, but you've been getting old for a long time.
70 years, yeah.
Yeah, you've been getting older day by day. So yeah, the body is immediately going back to where it came from, which is the earth. But the soul is always striving and reaching and rising to something greater and holier and better. That's the message. How are you better today than yesterday? How is your flame doing?
And is it rising? So just jumping away from this, and something that's also a very inherent custom of Hanukkah. In fact, I think the most famous Hanukkah song that everybody knows is about the dreidel. The dreidel is that top that they spin on Hanukkah. If you don't mind taking a moment to give us the origin of it, and perhaps how can it apply to our lives? What can we learn from it? What lessons can we take away from it?
I'm really not sure how it started.
No, I know you weren't there, but what do they say about it? Where does it come from?
They say that under the Hellenist rule, it was forbidden to study Torah. So children would gather to study Torah, and if they were found out, they would immediately close the book and pretend that they had been playing with their tops, spinning their dreidels. I'm not sure. I don't know. I can't.
Can't verify that.
Yeah.
But it's not fake news. Everybody's doing it. Everybody's playing with the dreidel. Everybody, even the greatest rabbis seem to approve of this custom wherever it started.
Yeah.
So moving forward, it doesn't matter where it comes from, but what lessons can we learn? What like in everything else in Judaism and the Torah, there's always some Kabbalah to it. There's always some mysticism to it. There's something deeper. It's not just a physical top that we spin.
Yeah. So what happened? What the fascinating thing is, on Purim, when we read the Megillah, story of Esther, every time we mention Haman, we drown out the sound of his name by using noisemakers. The way it works is that there is this little container on a stem, and you hold the stem and you spin, and it makes a loud noise. You hold it with the stem pointing down, so that you are spinning the body of the... A dreidel works the exact opposite way. The stem is at the top, and you spin it from the top, and the body spins at the bottom. There are two kinds of miracles. Miracles that come from above, miracles that come from below. On Purim, the miracle was completely God's miracle. He frustrated Haman's plan. And so the opposite way. I got it confused.
No, he did it, but it was concealed within.
It was concealed. So it was top heavy. It was spinning, but the events that brought the miracle were at the bottom, spinning events.
Yeah, it wasn't obvious, I guess.
Yeah, it was natural within nature. Whereas the miracle of the oil is the power of something higher spinning the body, like the soul spinning the body versus the body activating the soul. So the fact that we spin a dreidel or a top, interesting that it's even called top.
Oh wow, never thought of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Which means that the power, the mover and the shaker was at the top. The top can represent the soul. The top can represent the mind over the heart. The top can represent supernatural over natural, God over creation. So the point is that the miracle is the victory of what's at the top spinning what's at the bottom. There's the subliminal messages that in some way reach deeper than the conscious ones. See a group of kids sitting around very excitedly, spinning this top and playing the game and winning a penny, losing a penny. They're having so much fun. But subliminally, something is going on that is so powerful. Every time you spin that top, from the top, you spin the events, you're not the victim of the events.
Wow.
I guess that goes back to our theme.
You're in control.
Physically, you were violated. Physically, you were contaminated. But don't stop spinning. Don't lose control. Don't be the victim. Get to the top and you spin. You set into motion what your life is going to be.
Wow.
It actually works. That's what I'm trying to say. Subliminally, every child playing with a dreidel is feeding the soul and giving it dominion over the body. It's very subtle, but it's real.
Wow. I'll never look at a dreidel the same way.
I saw this guy who's a mentalist. He asked the audience to draw. Now each one was given a board. Draw something, anything. Everyone in the audience drew a star, a 5-pointed star. Pretty simple. Every one of them, and everybody was amazed. And then he revealed the secret. Before he asked them to draw something, he flashed a star in the camera. Like, I said, okay, now draw something. Everyone drew a star. The subtle effect, the subliminal effect, it's so powerful. And that's why we have to be careful with words that we use, with images that we allow children to look at. Say, oh, what's the harm? They're just looking.
Wow, it's so funny you said that because I was thinking to myself, I would have made a smiley face. I mean, but then I couldn't have if he flashed that thing. I would have made a star too. I was thinking everybody made a star. Wow. So I just want to go over to one more Hanukkah custom, which I know some people have this mistaken notion that Hanukkah we give gifts. But I know growing up, Hanukkah we gave Hanukkah gelt. So something about giving money to the children, not only to the children, but sometimes even adults give each other gifts of money. What is this thing about money? How does this connect into the theme of Hanukkah, of, the purity of the oil, the spirituality, like you just said, the spirit is what really drives the matter. Why money? And what messages does this have for everyone?
Well, we all know that money is the root of all evil.
I
There's
didn't
nothing.
know. I
There's
thought it just pays my bills.
Yeah, there's nothing as evil as money, nothing as corrupting as money. Is it even possible for money to be holy? Can you take something as corrupt as money and make it innocent again? Yeah, yeah, you can. Interesting thing that you hardly ever find an observant Jew who becomes a wino. You'll find alcoholics, but not with wine. Jews don't get drunk on wine. Wonder why that is.
Too expensive?
No. Wine, that's what you use Friday night for Kiddush. Every kid knows that. Wine, that's the 4 cups at the Seder, Pesach. You just drink wine any other time. So it's such a subtle, subliminal message. Nobody ever said, at Kiddush time, let's make a blessing over the wine so that you won't be a wino. Nobody ever said that. But the effect is there. It is so associated with a ritual, with a mitzvah, with a holiday, that just drinking wine during the week, it doesn't compute. That is the power of subliminal messages. Now, the subliminal message with money is greed. Money, greed. How do we give a subliminal message that even money can be innocent? So they made a custom. Presents doesn't do that. You give a present, they expect another one. It doesn't, it feeds on itself. So I think that's the.
Wow, so that's a universal message for everyone. That even money, or especially money, can be holy. I mean, I do know that the Lubavitcher Rebbe always proudly, reminded everyone of the fact that even on the American dollar, it says "In God We Trust." There's a certain sanctity that was put into the money. Is that consistent with what you're saying?
Yeah, redeeming the otherwise root of all evil.
Correct. Right. So, in conclusion, Rabbi, I just want to say that although you said we're not going to talk about it, because there's not much to talk about, but I was very, very inspired by something that the discussion we had prior to this official conversation, and that is, I said about all the holiday parties that take place in this time of the year, and I was saying, I asked you about somebody perhaps who was very concerned about disassociating themselves with something that's not consistent with the Torah, if it's okay for them to partake in parties that are officially associated with perhaps something that's not in line with the Torah. And you said absolutely yes. And I really love that. I'll tell you, I can't, even though you said let's not talk about it, I said I have to bring it up in a positive manner because I really like that, because your point was so to me overwhelmingly inspiring. Is saying no, it brings people together. You're not going for that purpose, and besides, most people don't for any purpose of religion or sanctimony or anything. You're going for as a social thing. Can you just, in your own words? I love hearing it from you. Can you just say to us in your own words? Yeah, I find it extremely encouraging, and this whole class was very encouraging and very inspiring. But to me, that's so inspiring. Is saying let people get together, let people have fun together, let people be together in harmony. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's what I got.
At a Christmas party, at a holiday party, even if you don't believe in the holy day, and to you it's just a social event, it's valuable. People are a little more thoughtful. People are a little more aware of goodness and kindness and thoughtfulness. It's a good thing. It should be that way all year. So even if you don't believe in the holiness of the day, you don't believe in Christianity, you don't believe in the Trinity, but to celebrate with friends where it's hardly biblical anymore, it's a good thing. For a Jew, it may be a little more uncomfortable.
Right. We're talking about this is Torah for non-Jews.
Right.
By the way, on that note, if you can also elaborate, look, they're gonna, I have nephews. Someone asked me this question, Rabbi. I have nephews, I have nieces. I got to buy them gifts, and they're gonna put it under the tree. Is that okay? Do you find any problem with it? He's very concerned. I didn't know what to answer. I'm asking you.
Nothing wrong with it.
Okay, just give gifts. Gifts, there's goodwill. It's really nothing of a religious nature per se, and just everybody be happy together. I won't use the word merry. I'll say just be happy together, get along, bring light into the world.
Look, there is so little of that. So thank God that at least there's 1 week in the year where people are at their best behavior. You're going to take that away?
I agree with you. I agree with you. And they're getting along, and family getting together, and friends getting together. So you're saying it's all in all, it's a good thing. Celebrate, have fun, have happiness, sing, dance, eat. Okay, I really appreciate that. Look, personally, I every year anew, I really am dismayed by the fact that Thanksgiving, at least in America, which is it was a sacred thing of family getting together, even that became trampled upon. That became violated with the stores opening up earlier. I think consistent with what you once taught about COVID, it actually did us a favor. Where hey, we don't have to be open earlier, so people can stay and spend the night with the families. People were running to their jobs or to stand in line to save $30 on a TV or $20 on a Nintendo game when they should be spending time with their family. I always felt so bad about it. So I appreciate what you're saying.
So Thanksgiving really is not that much about family or community. Thanksgiving means you're grateful for what God gave you. Whether you're alone or with a family, a big family, a little family, no family, Thanksgiving, the focus is on the gratitude to God. Of course, if you do it with your family, it's nicer. But the Christmas parties have become purely social. It's all about getting together. It's all about friendship, and so to take that away would be a mistake.
I really, really appreciate that. I think we've overrun the clock here. A lot of light. We've definitely increased in life and light. You enlightened me a lot, Rabbi Friedman. Until next time, I want to wish you a happy Hanukkah, happy holidays, and always, you always help us all increase in light, but I think you deserve also that blessing should come back at you of increasing in light and
And
light.
the Jews in your community know where they can get a menorah if they don't have one?
In my community, yes, I reach out to everyone, and this is actually a very good thing. And we, as we'll take advantage of this opportunity, Rabbi. Thanks for reminding me. Even non-Jews, if you have Jews who work with you, they certainly have to light their menorah. So if you're listening to this and you know of a Jew that may not have his or her own menorah and candles, provide it for them. That will help you channel the light, or address, at least bring it up to them so they know that they should be aware of the Hanukkah coming up soon. And
Where do you get this menorah or candles?
well, that's a good question. So menorah and candles, first of all,
Amazon. Get it on
you
Amazon.
can get it. You can get it on Amazon. That's for sure. If you want to, pay a reasonable price and get it, you want to do it the Jewish way. So I would suggest you go to the local supermarket. Most supermarkets have, United States of America at least, have a kosher section, and there they, as a staple of one of the items they have is a box of Hanukkah candles. Which actually, if you don't have a menorah, it's okay. You don't have to have a you know, an officially designed, what do they call it? A specific designed specifically for Hanukkah. You can just take those candles as long as you line them up in a straight row, you know, day after day. They're also, it's kosher. You've done the mitzvah. It's nicer to do with a menorah, but you don't have to have a menorah. But you know what? There's certainly almost anywhere you go, you'll find a Chabad. Or if you reach out to any Chabad rabbi, they'll find you. They'll be happy to come to you and make sure that you get that menorah. If not, I'm sure if you go on Chabad.org, do a search, and you certainly can find, you know, the closest Chabad or where to order your own menorah kit, your Hanukkah kit. So thank you so much, Rabbi. Have a happy Hanukkah and happy year.
You too.